Hi pals, welcome back, or welcome if you've never been here before. Oh, and it's been a while since we've done one of these. I'm quite excited today. I am an archaeologist, and I am today going to be reacting to this weird mummified mermaid thing that has been found. This was sent to me in my Discord, shout out Lineage View for sending me this article, and it's a little funny creature that's supposedly a mummified mermaid. And we're going to take a good look at it together. Now here's the boring bit. I am an archaeologist and an ancient historian. I've studied this for 4 years at undergrad, and I'm now doing my master's in classical art and archaeology, so I kind of know what I'm talking about. Although I do know things, I am not exactly an expert, so feel free to say your piece in the comments if you're someone who knows more about these things than I do. Of course, I'm always happy to I'm always happy to hear a more expert opinion, because the last thing I want to be doing is spreading misinformation. Yes, I might get bits wrong here and there, but I'm happy to be corrected. I'd like to say I'm quite an open-minded archaeologist too. We already know that other human species and subspecies and other species of hominin existed, and of course we still have apes and monkeys and primates on this planet, other primates. The idea of a mermaid existing, not that difficult to think of, just like one of these hominins that evolved to live in the water, you know? But we're going to take a look at this one because in all senses of the word, it's kind of sus. But let's debunk it together, shall we? So, to kick us off, let's go over to the amazing article from the highest of academic journals, of course. Unilad. Yep, it's on Unilad. This was the very first article sent to me, so obviously it has to be true, because it's on Unilad. Also, do you like my stream transitions? I stream once-ish a week, once or twice a week on Twitch. Link not down there, down right at the bottom, underneath this video. Anyway, it's on Unilad, right, which is a bit sus. So, here we go. Ignore that big advert at the top there, thanking you. Ancient mummified mermaid, rumoured to grant immortality to anyone who eats it, being investigated. Firstly, that title is way too long, or at least needs a comma in it, to be honest. Secondly, please do not eat the archaeology. Please do not eat the archaeology. Why do I even need to say that? I have said in the past, and it is true, that archaeologists do occasionally taste soil and lick bone, or lick items to figure out what material they're made out of, but they don't actually ingest it. They just go like, that's a bone, that's a rock, that soil is very acidic. It's that kind of thing. Please do not actually ingest archaeological things. Not only is it not usually digestible material, but for something with actual flesh on it, you're gonna die, or at least really, really hurt yourself. Why would you do that? Please cease immediately. So already, and that's just in the title. Also, this is a very, very recent publication. This is at the start of March. Scientists have announced plans to examine a mummified mermaid that is rumoured to grant immortality to anyone who tastes its flesh. And this is it. It's this little guy. Those fingernails are absolutely rotten. Revealed they will be taking a mummified mermaid for CT scans in order to get to the bottom of its mysterious form and legend, which has even been alleged to be connected to the coronavirus pandemic. Shut up. Actually, shut up. I'm interested to hear more about that. I don't understand how they've made that connection, but let's read on and see if it tells us. The mummy may also have religious significance. Japanese mermaids have a legend of immortality. It's said that if you eat the flesh of a mermaid, you will never die. There's a legend in many parts of Japan that a woman accidentally ate the flesh of a mermaid and lived for 800 years. There is a legend surrounding mermaids that can predict an infectious disease, and this may have foreshadowed the coronavirus pandemic. How old is this legend? It's at least 800 years old, because this woman has supposedly lived for 800 years. I'm assuming this is a thousands-year-old type legend. Do you know how many massive pandemics have happened in that time? I'm not going to lie to you. It's quite a lot. So I don't quite get why they have settled on, it predicted the coronavirus. It's like, could it have been the Black Death? There's been loads and loads of pandemics and disease outbreaks that have wiped out large numbers of our population. Even on a much smaller scale, you have things like the Plague of Athens, which wiped out entire cities. It depends on what scale you're looking at, and also it may have foreshadowed any of those events within the last hundreds and thousands of years. I think that is a classic case of trying to involve coronavirus. I think it's just their way of kind of, we found this cool thing, and here's a way to make it even more relevant, you know? So a letter came with it saying that it was caught in a fishing net. Aye, alright then. We have worshipped it, hoping that it would help alleviate the coronavirus pandemic even slightly. Oh. Haha! So the head researcher doesn't buy the mummy's authenticity. He stated, of course, I don't think it's a real mermaid. I think this was made for export to Europe during the Edo period or for spectacles in Japan. This is what I've heard about. These kind of things are made as like tourist attractions, oddities to put in museums and stuff. So it's not actually a real mermaid. Shock horror, in case you couldn't tell that already. He noted that the spiked level of interest in the mummy is probably a result of the legend of mermaids that remains in Europe, China and Japan, all over the world. Because when you think about it, all sorts of folklore have some sort of half human, half fish creature, sirens, selkies, all that kind of thing. They're really common in mythology. The planned CT scans and even DNA testing hopes to prove whether the mummy is made from living animals. He concluded, it looks like a fish with scales on the lower body and a primate with hands and a face on the upper body. At first I thought, oh wow, maybe this is actually something. And then I did a little bit more digging. And this one is from a much more trustworthy source. Albeit a problematic one, because this little guy is in the British Museum. Ta-da! There's another one, which is almost identical. But I wanted to show you this one because this one is proven to be an absolute fakery. Forgery, not real at all. This little guy is a figure of a mermaid composed of the upper part of a monkey's body and a fish tail with various additions with wooden lidded case. Materials monkey tissue and fish tissue. And here's a CT scan. And you can see that there's actually like stuff inside it to kind of make it posed, if that makes sense. But this is the part that's a monkey, obviously, and this is part of a fish that's been cut off. But you can see this big bit here, this big rectangular bit, that's clearly something made to hold it together. Obviously, these are two incredibly similar little guys. Like I say, completely, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about this. These little guys were made as kind of oddity, curiosity, collector things, being big on the folklore. The Western world was starting to collect their big Ripley's Believe It or Not type freak show things, all your international world fairs and stuff like that. They were all gathering all these crazy oddity objects and creatures of myth and stuff, but it is just essentially a monkey stitched to a fish. So let's round off with some conclusions, shall we? Obviously, it's not real. Sorry to burst your bubble. Like I said at the beginning, I am very much an optimistic archaeologist. I don't think that we should be completely naive to say that mermaids do not exist. I just think that we are either looking in the wrong place for the evidence, or there is no evidence left, or we don't have the technology yet to be able to find it, because things pop up all the time that just wreck our whole timeline of archaeology. There's constantly things being found that are brand new to us and help shape new ideas about how we've thought about archaeology before, whether it's through new technologies or looking in new places. But even if mermaids did at some point exist, maybe they don't anymore, maybe they still do, who knows? That is certainly not one, my chief. At first, when I saw the Unilad article and I had a quick skim of other articles, it was the exact same thing over and over again. No big academic publications have spoken out on it because they're not going to touch this. They know it's the exact same as the one in the British Museum, and there's probably a good few of them kicking about in people's attics and other random private collections of these things that were oddities and freaky things that were collected by all those weird rich people who did all that kind of stuff, because they did it with other creatures too. I've seen various photos and stuff of people making mythical creatures to put on display that have never actually existed, but they just sewn parts of animals to other animals, and it's gross. There was massive, like, museums used to hold all of these kind of things, not just archaeological significant things, also weird things. Crystal Palace in England had a bunch of random weird stuff. All the kind of big world fairs, grand expedition shows, and not to mention the private collections that people would just have in their homes to show off to their rich friends. It was a very, very odd and problematic time. But thus that is modernity, I guess. But what do you think about the mermaids? Do you think that there is a possibility that they are real creatures? Maybe they have existed, but we don't have any evidence. Maybe they're still swimming. We just can't find them because they've gone down, deep, dark, deep down. I don't know. That's the joy of archaeology, we just don't know anything. Let me know your thoughts and feelings about it. I'd really like to hear what you have to say about it in the comments. And of course, if you're an archaeologist or historian who knows more about this than me, feel free to explain away in the comments, because I don't want to be saying anything wrong. I'm happy to be corrected. I'll be polite about it, please. Most of you are when it comes to that kind of thing, but you know, it's always nice to be nice. Once again, thanks to Lineage View for sending me that article, because otherwise I would never have even noticed it. I'm really happy to get another Archaeologist reacts video out, because I don't obviously react to every single archaeological find that comes out. I like to do the more publicised, controversial ones, because that's what gets the views. I'm absolutely joking, but also not at the same time. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, or if you didn't, maybe just had me on the background, that's absolutely fine. Please leave a like, because that's a very nice thing to do. And if you're feeling extra nice, chuck a little subscribe in there too. Thank you very much. There's also links down below to all of my other social medias, including my Twitch, which I mentioned earlier, my Discord, my Instagrams. I have my normal Instagram and an archaeological one. Same on Twitter. I have 2 accounts, one for archaeology stuff, one for everything else. And other than that, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Tatty bye everybody, and I shall see yous next Tuesday.